Hey everybody, thanks for joining us again today for another Zoom indie author gathering. We're test driving this outdoors today. It was such a nice day. I thought I'd sit in the sunshine in the woods down by the river. So we're going to test this out and see how it works. Today our featured author is Gabriel Mero, and here is his astounding, amazing book. This is called Witch.
It's Witch.
Hey Gabe, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I don't know how honor, but yeah.
My first interview, and I feel famous right now. So
you are famous. All indie authors, I believe, should be famous. That's part of why I'm doing this.
I appreciate it. Your platform is amazing. You do great work.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get right into it. Gabe, tell us about Witch. Let me show you guys the book again, because it's hefty. It's an 8x10.
It is.
It's a pretty big book. It's pretty awesome.
The one that I bought is the original first copy, so it's a bit different to that one. That's the final copy, the one you have.
Okay, awesome. So give us a synopsis of the book. Tell us all about it.
It's basically about this teenage boy and his mother and his little brother. They move to this town called Wildtime. It's in New England. They're getting away from a divorce, and there's an abusive stepfather situation. The young brother's autistic, and this boy's kind of socially awkward. He doesn't really know how to be around people. He's very nervous. He's used to being bullied and abused, and he meets this crazy girl that's super out there and in your face and oh my God, you can do anything you want to do, just believe in yourself. And on his birthday, she takes him to an occult shop to get a palm reading, and then it turns out he's this super powerful witch. That it's rare for there to be male witches in my version, and he's the most powerful one that's ever been. And he finds out his mother was a witch, his grandmother's a witch. The mother doesn't practice anymore because there was something bad that happened. We don't know what in book one. But through the finding out he's this powerful witch, he kind of learns to believe in himself, and he kind of gets self-confidence, and he just, he falls in love with this vampire, I guess we'll say. And he just, he kind of turns everything around for himself. But there's also the downside that now that his powers are activated, the assembled hordes of hell are trying to kidnap him because they want to corrupt him.
Okay.
So there's all these, fight scenes and, near kidnapping scenes. And I like to think the heart of the story is really, it's a love story between the boy and his cat.
Awesome. So the cat is his familiar, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's familiar, and she's actually named after my cat, my favorite. I have quite a few cats, but she's my favorite. So I wrote her as a little, someday when she's gone, I can look back and I have all these great adventures with her. So,
that's a pretty cool tribute.
I like that.
Yeah, she's a baby. I'm obsessed with her.
That's very cool. Would you say that this book is written for an adult audience or for a young adult audience, or could it be a crossover novel?
I think it's sort of crossover. There are, adult scenes and there's adult language, but it's not I wouldn't recommend it for a middle schooler, I would say. Okay. Maybe a high school age. It's not, my goal was to put it somewhere between Twilight and True Blood.
Got it.
Twilight was kind of infantile at times, and then True Blood was kind of pornographic at times. So I tried to find a happy medium.
Excellent. Yeah. Chelsea was just commenting in the chat that she calls it new adult. It sounds like it would fit in that new adult genre.
I will take it.
Excellent. Right.
Edgy, I will take it anywhere.
Now, you mentioned that this is the first in a series.
It is. I'm actually working on the third one right now. I'm very far behind on it, but we'll talk about that another time. This is the second one.
Okay. And what's the title of that one?
That one is called Impossible Year Part 1. I decided to, instead of writing a 1,000-page one, I split that one into 2 books.
Yeah, because who reads War and Peace anymore?
Right. And these are,
right.
This one is 530 some pages.
Okay.
So I figured I'd split it between the 2, and then it'll take place during the course of a year. So the first part 1 is the first 6 months, and then the second book will be the other 6 months. So.
And can you tell us a little bit about the next book? without giving away too much of the first book?
Oh, well, I like to end them on cliffhangers. You know, I got to keep you
Right.
more. So this one takes place right after the end of the first book, and he's kind of something happens to him toward the end of the first book, and he's kind of adjusting to his new life. And you know, without spoiling anything, things have changed a lot, and he kind of has to adjust to that. And I'm trying not to spoil anything for you. I guess one thing I can tell you is on the second book, there are two cats. So there is a part where he goes back in time and saves the cat's brother, so she can have a friend, because I do actually have both of them in real life. They're twins. And I wanted to write him in there too. So there's that. The second one I think is way more dramatic than the first one. There's a lot of heartache. There's a lot of darkness. And I think that's setting the tone for the third book, which is really dark. But he gets new powers in the second book. As the longer that he is a witch or whatever, you know, his powers grow, and he kind of, it's not normal for witches to have more than one power. But because he's special, he has multiple powers. But there's always that whole corruption of, will he turn evil or will he stay good? So there's that whole moral thing. I think my favorite part, honestly, about the second book, I introduce a character named Anaya. She is the owner of the magic shop. And she's a Black woman, and I wrote her in a way that, you know, like, her race isn't an issue. It isn't about her being Black. There's no like racism plot line. It's just she's Black. That's who she is. She's amazing. She's a powerful witch. And that's that, because that's how it should be. We focus too much on, you know, aesthetics and things that don't matter. So I'm kind of trying to, do my part, I guess I'm saying. I'm trying to put the spotlight on like minority characters and things like that. Like in the third book, there's a transgender witch. Graham is obviously, without spoiling too much, he turns out to be gay. So, you know, and that's for him. That's just who it is. There's no drama about it. There's no homophobia or anything when he comes out. It's just, hey, you're gay. That's cool. It is what it is. So I'm just trying to, you know, kind of show people who may be having a hard time with it, realize that it's not a big deal. At the end of the day, you know what? You are who you are, and that's what matters.
Agreed.
Thank you.
So, well, just since we're on that topic, and this is a question obviously for you, but if anybody else wants to jump in as well, I think it's interesting that as authors right now, we are seeing where having a sensitivity reader, if you are writing from the perspective of writing a character that you personally did not experience, I think that's pretty amazing that we're seeing that. How do you feel about that?
I think it's great. I mean, I definitely don't think that you should write things you don't know, in terms like I would talk to somebody about, if I was going to do like a racism thing, I would definitely talk to somebody about that, so I could get it. I want it to be authentic. I don't want to offend anybody. Obviously, like, I'm trying to just highlight the fact that, especially like, well, in any genre, but in the genre that I'm writing in, there are no minority leads. It's always white people. It's usually a white woman. Not that I have a problem. Like when I first was brainstorming the first book, it was going to be a woman and a vampire, and then I went, you know what, that's all been done, but why don't I do it differently, have it be a male, and then it's kind of evolved from there. So, you know, and I'm just trying to show that.
Okay, well then obviously
Yeah, I think I really like, it seems like everything you mentioned, it's kind of like you took the traditional thing and you turned it on its head. But from what I'm hearing, and I really like that, you don't make a big deal out of it. You're like, yeah, it's a witch, it's a he, and this person's gay and this person's white. But no, it's that's just the context of the story. I really like that, because sometimes people will just like beat you over the head with things like, it's a male witch, y'all. And it doesn't sound like you did that. So I like that.
Well, thank you.
I think that's a great way that you did it too. I think it sounds like you made it super inclusive, which I love.
Yes, I tried.
Yeah, that's very cool. I mean, not just inclusive for race and gender, but you made it inclusive for kind of belief and creed too. And people who don't do the whole magic Wiccan thing, it might be an introduction for them into that. They might, learn something that, or be exposed to something that maybe they wouldn't be otherwise. And this is a real gentle way to do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was definitely one of the struggles that he faces in the book, is that he's a Christian and he finds out he's a witch. So he's like, well, can I do both? Does it have to be one or the other? Because I didn't have powers. And then I did when I wrote, well, without spoiling too much, when I wrote the hell scenes, I kind of combined Satan with Hades from Greek mythology. So Persephone's there, but he's known as Lucifer or Satan. So and then I also include there's like Egyptian, there's a spell he does at one point that is like evoking Egyptian gods. In the second book, he does a blood magic spell that channels Norse gods. So I try to be inclusive with religions and other magic.
That's very, very cool. I hate to be stereotypical in this statement, but I think it's true. A lot of people in your age group don't always remember to be inclusive. A lot of people in my age group don't always remember to be inclusive. So I like that you're really approaching it from that way.
Thank you.
And that you're not drawing attention to it. You're just simply saying this is what it is.
That's how I feel it should be. So I'm just trying to take those first steps, so maybe the next person down the line,
Absolutely.
I'm like the literary Madonna, I'm setting the tone for the future ones.
That's fantastic. I love that. I asked this question of all of the authors that come on simply because I'm a nut and I have to do this.
Okay.
So it's a two-part question. You've heard me ask it before. Are you a plotter or a pantser? And are you a digital writer or an analog writer?
Okay. Well, as for the writing, I write it on my laptop exclusively.
Okay.
And I don't like outline things. I don't write anything down. I keep it all up here. I just kind of honestly obsess about it, and I sort it out in my head, and I obsess about it until I have it the way I want it, and then I write it down. I have a general idea of where I want things to go, and then I kind of let things fill themselves in toward the middle.
Awesome.
There's something I did in the first book and that came to me at the very end when I had already written probably 300 pages of it, and I was trying to figure out how to wrap it up. And then I went, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that and see how that goes over. And I mean, I don't think I have a lot of readers, but the people who have read it have been like, dude, that was crazy. What made you think to do that? It just kind of came to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even for those of us who are diehard plotters like myself, I still have those moments when something will jump in and say, this character needs to express this thing, or this action has to happen. And I have to rearrange the outline to accommodate it. So, I mean, that's part of why I love outlines, is for that flexibility. But absolutely that happens, I think, to every writer. You get that moment of inspiration that you just can't ignore.
Yeah.
Xander, any questions? Kate, any more questions?
I always just ask, how do you keep track? I mean, I think you just answered it, but how do you keep track of your world building? Is it just like all up in here?
Pretty much. I mean, there's not a whole lot, honestly. I try to keep it pretty compact. There's, it's set in a small town, so that doesn't, and then you just have a group of characters I can probably count on two hands maybe. So I just kind of keep track of like where they're at and where they would be at this point. Like there's some, in the third book, there's some great stuff between the main character and his mother. They kind of have a tense relationship throughout the books. You don't really know why. Like when he comes out as a witch, she loses it. She gets really angry. She doesn't want him to do it. She won't tell him why. And there's kind of a contention there. And in book 3, you find out why. So I like to do little Easter eggs that happen later on in the first, subsequent books, setting the tone. There's some great stuff in the second book between him and his father, and a lot of this stuff, honestly, is real life. I just kind of worked it into the book.
Sure.
Like my little brother's autistic. So about when I was, the age of the character in the book, I spent a lot of time taking care of him.
So I guess that covers the how do you research question.
Yeah, like yeah, yeah. And any questions I have about health stuff, my grandma's a nurse, my cousin's a nurse, so I go to them like, hey, how realistic is that if this happens? What are my time ranges on if this happens before they die?
Yeah.
So I do try to keep that, and then I do. In the second book, Anaya has a couple of chapters because I am actually setting her up down the line to have her own series. She will be the lead character. I did some research into, she has family in like the Caribbean, so I kind of researched Caribbean like witchcraft. I didn't want to do voodoo, so I went with, it's called Obeah. There's not a lot about it on the internet, so I kind of made it up, but I kind of tried to follow what little I could find.
Sure.
I guess I could, so I did not.
Yeah, we call that creative nonfiction.
That's what I did. That's what I tried to do.
So do you only write one book, one series, one set of characters at a time, or are you working on multiple projects simultaneously?
I try to just focus on one. I have with this third book, I should have had it done already, and I've been working a lot, and just I haven't been feeling like writing, so I haven't. But I did start a side project that ties into the series that would be a novella about Lucifer and Persephone, and kind of give you some of their relationship and some of their backstory. I've also brainstormed, I do want to write, when I'm done with these, I think this is going to be 4 books when all is said and done of the Bewitched ones. I do want to go back and write one about Erasmus, who's the vampire, to go back and tell his story. I would like to do one about his best friend Amethyst, just because she isn't in the other books as much as the first one. And so
you're an equal opportunity author. You like to give all your characters their own platform, it sounds like.
I try to be. And I mean, my main thing is definitely, I don't want to do another series about any other character but Anaya. I really think that it's important for people of color to have their own book series. And I think it's a good idea with her. And that's what's helping me do that with her, because she's such a good character. I love writing. I based her off of an actress from a show I like. I met her at Comic-Con. I gave her a copy of the book that I signed for her, and I told her all about it. She was so genuine and so nice about it.
Nice.
So that will push me to eventually write her series, and I think that it should be fair for everybody.
Yeah. Sander, any questions or comments from you?
I actually don't have any comments. I used to practice Wicca and Druidism back in my teens and 20s and to my early 30s. So.
Okay.
There's some Druidism in the book.
So Xander, I'm curious then, what, just real quickly, is your take on, do you think that this is a niche that is being underserved in literature?
Maybe. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
It's because, well, for a long time, it went through a boom though, didn't it? Like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we had Charmed, then we had Practical Magic.
Practical Magic, Craft, Sabrina.
It boomed, and now it's kind of, it's like, ebbing wave. And as people find nature religions, they kind of crests again, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think it's like anything. I think life in all aspects kind of is secular. It goes the circle of life thing, and it just keeps traveling. Kate, anything else from you?
No.
Okay, awesome. No, Gabe, you've been fabulous, because I haven't had to ask a lot of questions, so it's wonderful to have you.
I like to talk, so.
We will definitely have you into the TV studio once they allow me back in there.
I would love that.
And we'll do an episode with you there too.
Oh, thank you.
Have you thought about writing any other genres?
I have, honestly. I love mysteries. So I would love to do a mystery at one point. I do like writing. I didn't realize it until I wrote these books how much I enjoy doing like the romance aspect.
Okay. So
I'm not like a full-blown romance, but maybe like a not quite so filthy 50 Shades type thing, without like the BDSM, but just like a love story, but like a modern, realistic one.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't know really anything. I'm open to anything. Anything that comes to me, if I can make it work, I will try it.
Very cool. Is there anything that you won't do? Absolutely will not put in your books?
I want to say religion only because I don't want to offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
There was a book that I was thinking about that went through my mind that would be like a modern day, like what if Jesus came back in present times, like how the media would twist it and how it would be like this big, you know, like he'd be like a celebrity. He'd be like watching Keeping Up with the
Mm-hmm.
But I also thought, you know, you're going to offend a lot of people with that. Either way you do it, you're going to offend somebody. Is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. But
yeah, sometimes you have to weigh that creative risk with, you know, is it something that your muse is really pulling strong on you to do
right.
against what's going to be the popular response, and is it going to actually be something that people respond to? So I know that line is a tough one to walk sometimes.
It is, for sure. So we'll see where it goes. But
do you have any specials going on for the month of June while we run our virtual book festival? Is there any promotion or anything that any way you'd like to help authors or readers, I should say, get closer to your books?
I do. If you contact me, I have a Facebook page. You can do me on there, or you can just DM me on my normal Facebook page. If you contact me, let me know you're interested. You can get a copy of either book or both if you would like, $5 off. And I'll have it shipped to my house. I'll sign it for you, and then I'll send it to you.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Do we have anything more from Xander and Kate? And I know Chelsea is still trying to multitask with her day job, so we get that. I'm just going to wait to see if Chelsea's giggling at me through chat, so that's good. She's still out there.
Comments.
So, anything else, Xander or Kate?
No, that was, I mean, I really enjoyed everything you had to say. I'm intrigued. It's not even a genre I normally read, but I'm intrigued.
Thank you. That means so much to me. I was so nervous about doing this interview, and it's actually going a lot better than I thought it would. So
yeah, I try to make it fairly painless.
Diana, you're terrifying.
I know, it's just awful. I'm just awful. Okay, so I guess we're going to wrap it up. Everybody can get back to their daily lives and jobs and stuff. I'm going to see if I can find any ducks out on the river. Everybody have a great afternoon. This episode of our live indie author gathering will be posted tomorrow on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel tomorrow as well. For anybody who was unable to watch it today, you know, just push it out there. Gabe, excuse me, feel free to share the video when it gets posted. Use it in your marketing, as we offer to all of our authors. Use this in your marketing to, you know, our goal here with this book festival this month is to help authors gain reach. And if we can at all support you in that, we really would love to do that. Hey, Chelsea's on just in time to say bye. Chelsea, anything more before we leave?
Looking at it from my old world.
Nothing else? Okay. She's trying to multitask. We're all trying to do it in this pandemic era, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. And we've got another one of these tomorrow. So I hope you'll tune in for that and join us on Facebook. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
you.
Bye.